Welcome to the Open Mic, where bold stories spark big conversations. Today, we're really diving deep into one of those stories that just sticks with you. It shows incredible human spirit, really, against huge odds. We're looking at the mysterious disappearance and murder of Mike Williams. What grabs you right away, I think, is that first theory about how Mike Williams disappeared. It was, well, shocking. But then things started to unravel, didn't they? And this layer of deep personal betrayal just changed everything. It wasn't just a search anymore. It became a murder investigation. It's quite a journey into, well, human complexity, but also determination. So let's set the scene. It's December 16th, 2000, Florida, Lake Seminole. Mike Williams, he's 31, a dad, seems like a vibrant guy, heads out duck hunting on the lake in his boat, and he just doesn't come back.
Right. And this is where things took that first crucial turn. The initial police theory, it seemed to form incredibly fast. Within just days, the official word was basically that Mike must have been eaten by an alligator. They found his boat, his waders, jacket, shotgun, all floating there. The story was he fell in, got attacked, body consumed. Simple as that, almost. And that theory, even though some people had questions, it sort of allowed the case to be unofficially closed for a long, long time. It just stopped any real deep digging.
God, you can only imagine the family's grief, the confusion. And adding to the heartbreak, Mike vanished the weekend just before his wedding anniversary with his wife, Denise. Just tragic timing. But not everyone bought the alligator story, even with the official conclusion. This is where Kathy Aldridge comes in. She was a close friend of Mike's, and she started noticing things that felt off. You know, how quickly the alligator theory was accepted, the fact there was no body recovered, which is unusual even with gators, apparently. Little inconsistencies. Her suspicion just started to build, quietly at first, but then it grew.
And what really threw gasoline on that fire, what fueled her doubts, was something deeply personal and frankly shocking. Her own husband, Brian Winchester, who was also Mike's best friend and business partner, he starts having an affair with Mike's widow, Denise. And this wasn't like years later. We're talking mere months after Mike disappeared. It became this intense, serious relationship. Eventually, Kathy and Brian Winchester divorced, but because they shared a child, they had to stay in each other's orbits. Imagine that. Kept her uncomfortably close to the very people she was starting to suspect were involved in something terrible.
And there's that quote from Kathy Aldridge from the docuseries trailer. It just hits you. She says, "To say they stabbed me in the back doesn't even touch it. They had stabbed me in the soul." That really captures the depth of it, doesn't it? That feeling of utter violation from people she trusted implicitly. And you can see how that kind of wound wouldn't just make her suspicious, it would drive her. It became personal on a whole other level.
Exactly. That profound sense of betrayal became a catalyst. It forged this unlikely but incredibly strong alliance. Kathy Aldridge teamed up, essentially, with Mike's mother, Cheryl Williams. They found common ground in their grief, but also in their shared suspicion. And Cheryl, Mike's mom, she never bought the alligator story, not for a second. From day one, her conviction was solid. Denise and Brian were responsible. While everyone else, including law enforcement initially, was going with the accident theory, Cheryl was fighting. Trying to get Mike declared dead, yes, but from foul play, pushing against that official narrative tirelessly.
And this is where it gets, well, kind of incredible. These two women, fueled by grief, maybe anger, or definitely a sense of injustice, they basically become these fiercely determined amateur investigators. We're not just talking about them chatting over coffee, wondering. The sources suggest they launched this quiet, methodical, and pretty risky campaign. They apparently worked directly with certain police officers who were maybe sympathetic, feeding them bits of info they gathered, and they went undercover. Reportedly wearing wires, trying to get Brian or Denise to say something incriminating. That takes serious guts. And eventually, their work became foundational, leading to them actually testifying against Brian and Denise in court. Just think about that journey.
What keeps someone going for that long, though? 17 years is a lifetime, almost. Aldridge herself said something like, "She and I spent a lot of years under the radar, just constantly digging for clues." She called the investigation a constant obsession throughout all those years. Imagine dedicating nearly 2 decades of your life to solving a murder, mostly in secret, facing skepticism, maybe even hostility. It wasn't just about finding facts. It was living with this consuming purpose, believing the truth had to come out no matter what.
It really does show that unique bond, right, between Kathy Aldridge and Cheryl Williams. Even when they weren't, together every day or talking about the case constantly, that shared mission was always there, like a silent pact. A partnership born from tragedy, making sure Mike and the truth weren't just forgotten,
Yeah, and one of the most striking things about this case is just that passage of time, 17 years. Brian and Denise managed to avoid conviction for 17 years. It wasn't just a delay, it's nearly 2 decades where they lived their lives. Denise even collected a large life insurance policy on Mike, while Mike's family, his mother, Kathy, they were just stuck in this unresolved nightmare. Makes you really think about cold cases, doesn't it? And how much relies on individuals when the official system seems to stall.
And it wasn't just time they were fighting. During those 17 years, Kathy and Cheryl hit some serious roadblocks. We're talking active resistance sometimes, it seems. Police departments may be sticking to that original alligator theory, dismissing their leads, sometimes getting defensive. But maybe even harder was the community reaction, the backlash. For a long time, Brian and Denise were seen by many as, the grieving widow and the supportive friend. So Cheryl and Kathy pushing for answers, they were often painted as obsessive, troublemakers, maybe even malicious. People in town defended the couple, made these women feel like outsiders, like they were disrupting the peace, their resilience against all that. It's really something.
But despite all of it, the years, the frustration, the pushback, justice did eventually come. Slowly, but it came. In 2017, Brian Winchester was convicted, actually, for kidnapping Denise at gunpoint, a whole other twist in the story.
Right, that was bizarre.
Yeah, and then facing that sentence, in 2018, he finally confessed, admitted he'd killed Mike Williams all those years ago, and ultimately both Brian and Denise were convicted for their roles in Mike's murder, bringing, some measure of closure, I suppose, though maybe not peace for Cheryl and Kathy.
Kathy Aldridge, looking back now, she talks about feeling a lot of satisfaction in seeing it through, getting that justice finally. But she also says, intriguingly, there's a window that's still open. That phrase. It suggests there are still questions. Right? Things left unsaid or undiscovered even after the convictions.
Exactly. And those missing pieces she talks about are really fascinating. She seems to strongly suspect, maybe even believe, that Brian and Denise had some kind of protection for all those years. That maybe the investigation didn't just stall because it was a cold case, but because something or someone kept halting it or didn't pursue leads seriously enough. It's a serious question, Were there systemic failures? Or even deliberate actions that shielded them and delayed justice for so long? It suggests the obstacles might have been more than just a lack of evidence, maybe active interference.
And that really leads us right to this new docuseries. It's from ABC News Studios called Mr. and Mrs. Murder, and it starts streaming on Hulu July 30th. Aldridge seems hopeful that putting the story out there again on such a big platform might just jog someone's memory. Maybe prompt someone who knows something about those missing pieces to finally come forward. Shed some light on why it took nearly 2 decades. She's involved in it, sharing her side.
And we should acknowledge, too, the personal cost for her, reliving all this. Aldridge has said that working on the docuseries, diving back into all those dark details, took me back to a dark place. It's a reminder, isn't it? Even when you get justice, the journey leaves scars, deep ones. And retelling the story can reopen those wounds.
So when you step back and look at this whole story, what does it tell us? Just think about the sheer tenacity needed to chase justice for almost 20 years when the system itself seemed, unable or maybe even unwilling sometimes to get there. It really drives home that sometimes the biggest breakthroughs don't come from official channels. They come from personal conviction, from people who just won't let go.
It definitely makes you ponder some big things, like what does this case say about truth itself? How easily can it be hidden maybe by a story that's just convenient? And what about betrayal? The absolute depth of it when it comes from those closest to you. And ultimately, the power, the undeniable impact of just a few determined individuals pushing back against huge odds, not just official inertia, but community pressure too.
And given that persistence, from Kathy Aldridge, from Cheryl Williams, and Kathy still feeling like there's a window open, what does closure even mean in a case like this? Especially when you have those nagging questions about why it took so damn long in the first place. Could you ever get complete closure after a fight like that?
Yeah, and thinking about what they went through, what does personal courage really look like? When you're facing obstacles within the system, official roadblocks, and that really personal backlash from your own community, how do you keep that fire burning for the truth when it feels like so many people want to put it out? It's quite profound to consider.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the Mike Williams case. An extraordinary, heartbreaking story and just an astonishing journey to uncover the truth. We always love hearing what you think. If you have any insights on today's deep dive, or maybe you know of an inspiring story you think deserves its own exploration, please do share it with us. You can reach us at theopenmicpodcast@gmail.com. That's theopenmicpodcast@gmail.com. We really do look forward to hearing from you.